What is going on, guys? It is your boy Thriller here, and we are here for the Bald Joey Draft League, the BJDL. Yes, this league sounds familiar to you. I'm gonna close this tab so you don't get spoiled. This league seems really familiar to you because Mr. Joey Pokemon MD himself has been playing in this league in the monotype version of the game that they are playing. This is a league that is mostly ran by his mods and some good buddies of his. So they decided to host hold like an off season slash regular season type of league, and Joey was asked to do it. Joey said yes, and so on and so forth. So you see Joey playing it. They're doing another season, and this is going to be a Gen 7 format. So once again, we're playing in the rounds of Gen 7. You guys remember checking out our JDDL run where we did do Gen 7 there. Unfortunately, after some very like hack smattering games and also some team composition that we're not being aware of. We got missed out of the playoffs. Unfortunately, we just got unlucky with hacks and RNG, and that cost us. And so we didn't make playoffs. But this time, we are in it to win it and hopefully do well. If you guys don't know, I am made my debut in Draft League in Gen 7. So Gen 7, I definitely think will always hold a special place in my heart, especially from the competitive side of things. Just because, again, it was the league I started out in with Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. Obviously, I was a super late bloomer. I understand, but you know what? I feel like I'm relatively old enough now. God, I do feel old. But I feel like I'm now an old enough veteran of the game, and we're technically coming up on, technically speaking, like 10 years again. Like, I know I celebrated the 10 years with JDDL, but we're technically going to be celebrating officially 10 years of Draft League with Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon as my first starting gen with this month because it's November. November was the one I started doing draft leagues. So it's honestly awesome, man, to come back to another Gen 7 league, and I always look forward to having a good time. So, with this league, let's go over some ground rules. First and foremost, two of the both Tapu Koko, Tapu Fini, Tapu Lele, I should say, were banned. Mega Alakazam was banned. Greninja is banned from using the abilities Protein and a Battle Bond, and it was still priced at 17 points. Honestly, should have been priced between 13 and 15. One of those three areas that they're 13, 14, or 15 points, in my opinion, because it's not worth 17 with just that speed tier. Gyarados cannot use Z moves. Obviously, everything with Zygarde, the form you draft is the form you use. So on and so forth. Z moves, you cannot use Omni Boost moves, but you can use moves such as the Rain Dance, the Sunny Day, etc. Just nothing that boosts every single stat that you have. You had a draft between 9 to 11 Pokemon as your base, and you get to draft two Z captains that are 10 points and below. So that was what was given out with that. So there were, I think, a grand total like four divisions with two different draft pools in each one. We are in the Cricketot division, I believe we are. And we got put in the Dele, not the Whoop thing, because we weren't part of the Whoop, but we were part of the Dele side of the pool divisions, which is really cool. A lot of new people I've never faced before in draft, and there's a few familiar faces we see. Um, so that's really exciting. But yeah, we had like 110 points to work with. So, and I think this is the best mapping of points I've ever done with my draft. So I feel really accomplished knowing that. Like I feel like every single pick I have is good. There's nothing that's like niche or is only gonna be like a one-time thing type of thing. I think there's a general purpose for every single Pokemon in this team, and I think there's good chances that we can bring just about every single Pokemon every single week, which I think is actually really great. I've never had teams like that before, so I'm really excited. So I had six pick out of the nine coaches in our pool that we had, and six was like a middle of the road. Like it wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the greatest. I did not get Mega Gallade, which was my number one pick I wanted. It was either that or Zeraora. But I felt like that was going to be my most number one pick just because it was the first one I want to reap my first real championship. Like I said before, my first draft championship was basically just handed me. I didn't have to fight to earn it or win it. So I disregarded. But Mega Glade was the one where I felt like with my first real championship win I had, and I really wanted to repeat the story, but unfortunately, it went very first overall. It should have been the first or second pick overall, so I'm not even mad that it happened. I was so damn close to getting Zero Aura though. Zero Aura was literally the pick before me, and I'm so sad, man. I was so sad I didn't get it, but I decided to give it a little bit here, and I took a bit of a gamble. I took a 16-point Pokemon as my first pick here. Everything in my draft, funny enough, is 16 and below. I didn't grab anything super high tier. Be granted that one, I could have waited, but they all got sniped. But also two, I went for the best value for this Pokemon team because I wanted to draft a lot of Pokemon I don't ever really use, mons I haven't used in years, and mons that I've only used one time in my entire career. So this was a great opportunity to play with some Pokemon that I love. I haven't gotten a chance to use yet. I'm also drafting a few Pokemon I've never actually drafted. So this is gonna be a fun time. But if you guys are excited, leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you are new. Join the Furry Crew today to throw the king of the crew. So, with that being said, let's break down this draft. My first pick, as you can clearly see here, is Excadrill. Now, Excadrill, if you guys know, I am the king of sand. They call me Gara from Naruto. Every time I have used sand, I have made it to playoffs. Like, I don't know how many times I drafted sand, but literally every time I have won championships with sand. I think at least once, maybe twice. It actually wanted maybe twice, but I got flinched. But anyways, we've won championships with sand before. So sand is my absolute bread and butter. It is my comfort. It is the best weather in my opinion. Maybe not to Gen 9 standards, but who knows? I think sand still is the best weather in my opinion. However, Drill was really great here. It gives me a sand stress use, so it gives me elite speed control, which is really good with having sand up. What's also really great about this is it gives me a mold breaker Pokemon, which means I can go through your multi-scale. I can go through your disguise ability like you Mimikyu. But more importantly, I get to break through levitate Pokemon and just spam Earthquake. This mon has no good real switch-ins to a lot of teams. It is a relatively defensive steel and also a good offensive ground. It is arguably one of the top three, if not top five, best ground types on the board, and is one of the top three, if not top five, best steel types in Gen 7, and is probably arguably the best rapid spinner in the entire format. So grabbing this right out of the get go was insanely good value for me here. It could have probably waited till round two, but I really needed to get a good value out of this. And plus, getting a really good ground and a good steel type, especially in the Gen 7 meta, is very hard to come by. So I went with what I felt was good value, and it was still a fantastic first pick, in my opinion. So really love Extra Drill. We're naming it Driller because that's the and fun fact about Extra Drill. I have used this thing probably in grand total of maybe 5 or 6 times, I think. Everything being said, obviously. This thing has nearly 80 kills overall. I'm pretty sure he's sitting around like 70, between like 75 and 80 kills, somewhere around there. And just barely above him is Dracovish with like 85-ish kills total I've ever used in my draft career. When I first used this Pokemon in my first sand team on my first in like one of my first fewer drafts, about nearly half of the kills you heard me talk about came from that one league. Grill was a monster, and I used it so unbelievably well. And I'm so excited to use Drill again in a format where it's even more scary because more of the stuff that I have to fear, I don't have to fear that much. There's a few Pokemon I have to fear, such as Skarmory and Celesteela, but other than that, I don't really care. And plus, with this type of game mode I have set up, oh, baby, do I have a plan for this drill. But we'll get to that in a second. Second, I wanted to grab a really good fairy type. And honestly, I kind of shot myself in the foot here. And I'll explain why in a second when we get to a couple of picks online. But I really wanted a good pairing with Drill here. I wanted some good speed. I wanted some good offense to pair with Drill. It's not only physical. And plus, getting a good fairy type is really hard to get in the Gen 7 meta. So I decided to go with a fairy that I love absolutely dearly. It's a fairy I've only used one time, and it was on a Gen 9 Natdex team where I had Ursaluna, regular Ursaluna, Goldango, and Rory Moon, and got critted and lost because of it, even though I would have probably won the league. But it's fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Sorry. Bad habits. Bad habits. Also, if anyone's wondering, I pause. I take a drink of Pepsi. Pepsi, sponsor me, please. Um, but we grabbed Deancey, aka Gem. Mega Deancey is a Pokemon I only used one time in my entire draft league career. on that team, like I said. And I think what's really great about this is it offers a technical, quote unquote, second remover slash detour, like a detour Pokemon. Basically, if you want to try stuff hazards in front of this Yancey, I've got Magic Bounce. You want to set up them spikes? Put those spikes on your side of the field. You want to try to parting shot out? No, I'm going to parting shot out, and you're going to stay down. So I love the concept of what Mega Yancey brings with Excadrill, which I think is really, really good. Give you waste 110 speed tier, which is really great. I believe we don't have to turn one Mega. I'm pretty sure that was not a rule, but most of the time I will probably turn one Mega in this Pokemon for a decent amount of time. But the bulk of DNC with the offense that DNC brings, and plus if I'm going with Sand, we're gonna have a Sand boosted, Spadef boosted DNC and Sand. This thing's not gonna die. This thing's just gonna stay on the field and just not care about your hits and just go. Like the only concern I'm going to have mostly is going to be steel types because most of the times grass and water is special and they're not going to hit us too much because of that. I mean, if they do, but maybe it naps only a 2 hit KO versus a 1 hit KO or even arguably a 3 hit KO depending on investments. And again, for steel types, I got Mr. Drill right next to me here and he just wants to click a button and do well a team. So really, 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 really excited, man, to use this Pokemon again. And I'm so excited to see how it goes. Real quick, guys, I'm going to pause and read these notifications real quick and I'll be right back. Sorry, that was just us finishing the draft there, guys. Because we had to skip some people, so I immediately went back to my pick, so I had to finish my draft. So that was the reason why that happened. So, anyways, like I said with the Yancy, fantastic fairy type. I really felt it was really good value. But let me explain now why I messed up here. Because technically speaking, there's a rule in this where we can actually draft two Mega Pokemon. However, both Mega Pokemon must hold their Mega Crystals, which means if I was to say draft Mega Dancy and, for example, Mega Scizor, if I Mega Diancie, I can't Mega Scizor. And then Scizor is stuck holding the Mega Scizorite, and then I can't use it for having an Aqua Berry or anything like that. So it was a weird rule, but I'll say this right now: no one took advantage of that rule, and frankly, I don't think anyone was going to care about that rule. But overall, really happy with this Mega choice. And originally, I wanted Mega Gyarados because I was talking about how I had a great strategy with Mega Gyarados. Ended up really ruining that by this, and I literally realized that after I made my third pick. Which, speaking of my third pick, I have not used Pokemon since Gen 8, Nat Dex, and just Gen 8 in general. It's been like maybe about 5 years or so since I've last used this Pokemon, and I absolutely love this Pokemon because it is one of my all-time favorite Gen 4 Pokemon. And I know a certain friend of mine that loves this Pokemon as well. And that is we drafted Roserade. I freaking love Roserade, man. Roserade is one of my all-time favorite grass type Pokemon to use in draft. It is one of my all-time favorite grass types just in general. This is just a great Pokemon, man. I love using this. We're naming after my good buddy Rose, aka Roserade God. I didn't want to put the two because this is the original Roserade God. But it's just a great mon, dude. I love Rosary. It gives me access to spikes, which is really great for my team. T spike support as well, which is really great. Options to Leech Seed, Sleep Powder, Symphysis for recovery, obviously with Sand. Kind of a bad combination there, but it's still a great Pokemon. And because this is Gen 7, baby, Hidden Power Technician's back. We also get stuff like, generally curious. Um, we get stuff like Magic Leap, so if we wanted to run more of an offensive Rose Raid with Technician boosted hits, we can. We're probably not going to. It actually does learn Source Dance. That might be episode we might have to try one of these days. But Rosary, though, fantastic Pokemon. Gives me a little bit of a Spadef wall, not too much of a Spadef heavy wall, but it gives me something especially. Gives me a Fairy Check, which is really good because most Fairy types are especially offensive. Obviously, not the best grass type to have for a ground check because now our team is getting absolutely destroyed by ground types. And fun fact, we don't change that, but we did draft arguably the best ground type in the game, so we should be fine on that, right? Anyways, Roserade, fantastic Pokemon, love it so much. And speaking of Pokemon I love, I was destroyed by this Pokemon because I know how powerful this Pokemon is, and luckily it's not the French version. But maybe if I give it to Bonyard, he might give me that French version instead. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my boy Fire DK Darmanitan. I haven't used this Pokemon in God knows like how many years. Like this was the same. It's about maybe the same treatment as Rose Raid. I haven't maybe used it in like I feel like it's even more. possibly, or around the same time frame, maybe 6 years since I have last used Darm. I've only used Darm, I think, in total 2 times. One time when I fully drafted it, and one time when I think I picked it up in free agency. So about 1.5 to 2 times I've used Darm. I freaking love this new couple Pokemon. It hits insanely hard. It is unbelievably uncounterable to switch in. Like no switch-ins happen. And I'm telling you right now, I've got plans with this Darm, as you're gonna see by a certain little pic on our screen right here. But I've got plans with this Darm. And if I see an opportunity, I will do my damnness to try to bring this set. Because who would not want to see this guy? Like, come on. I'm going to do everything in my power to bring this Pokemon to life, guys. I will try to bring Zen mode. If I see an opportunity to do it, I will do it. And if I can't, then I'm sorry. I let you guys down. But absolutely, Dr. Rand, there's really nothing to say about this guy. He literally will just slam teams by himself. It's really great. Now, with our fifth pick, and this is pretty much from Darm all the way to our third guy there, after the Rose Raid, was pretty much how I was planning the rest of this draft. Um, there was one snipe, but that snipe actually was a blessing in disguise, which we'll talk about here in a second. But with our next one, I needed to get a good ghost type. I think good ghost types are obviously really good. Obviously, Gen 8 to onwards are where ghost types thrive the most. But I wanted more. I needed to start getting some bulk on my team because I have no bulk besides Rose Raid, really. Arguably, yes, Deancey, but Deancey needs sand for bulk, so it's not the most reliable defensive thing as well. So I really needed something for that bulk, and I went with Cofagrigus, however you want to say it. We're naming it Tem because that's a Yu-Gi-Oh reference, and Tem was obviously a Pharaoh. And every time I try to spell Pharaoh, everyone gets on me because I spell it wrong. So I didn't want that. But anyways, Cofagrigus, I love this Pokemon. It is my arguably favorite Ghost type to use in Draft League. At least one of them, at least. But it's just so good, dude. It's so fat. It's so good to set up offensively and defensively as well. Good support options with Will-O-Wisp. Another Toxic Spikes user was really good. Pain Split, Haze. This is just a super annoying ghost type Pokemon for a lot of people to deal with. And you also your Trick Room, obviously putting some Trick Room options for our team with you'll see how with a few other picks that we have down the line. But I love, love, love this ghost type, man. It is so cool. I absolutely love using it back in the day. A lot of the times I ran like Trick Room Shadow Ball or Trick Room Nasty Plot Shadow Ball and just clink buttons, man. Like I wanted to pick up Reuniclus with this draft as well. And I almost like went away from my path that I was thinking about. And there could be a chance that maybe we take a chance to bring Reuniclus onto this team because I love Reuniclus. I don't get to use that thing at all, really. I need to draft that more. But I felt this was fun enough it is, and this was just a good Pokemon to pick up, man. I absolutely love this mon. It is super, super good. Now, originally with this next pick, I wanted Vikavolt because Vikavolt gets Levitate, which is a ground immunity, which is really good for the team. It gives us an electric type, which I always want to make sure I have an electric type on my team, and it gives us sticky webs. Oh, wait, hold on, I'm getting a call. Hello? Oh, Game Freak, thanks for calling me. Wait, what do you mean Vikavolt didn't have sticky webs in Gen 7? I thought in Ultrasun Ultra Moon you get. Wait, what do you mean hanging up? What do you got? Well, Game Freak just hung up on me like that. Okay. So, in actuality, I actually did double check when I got sniped of it, and actually, it didn't learn Sticky Webs. I guess it was Gen 8 when it learned Sticky Webs. I could have sworn in Ultra Sun and Moon it learned it. I could have sworn it did, but I guess I didn't remember correctly. But that actually was a blessing in disguise because, again, I wanted Sticky Webs for this team. The reason why I wanted sticky webs for this team is you look at things like Darm, you look at things like Drill, and you look at things like Deancey. If I get sticky webs up and make sure you are slow, these Pokemon run rampant on you. They can run Choice Band, they can run Choice Specs, they can set up once and just win. These are Pokemon, if you do not respect with the webs and the options of that being there, these Pokemon win just there. As soon as webs are up, I win the game. It's really good. We're in a gen where there's no heavy duty boots, so hazards really matter a lot in this format. So getting a Pokemon with sticky webs is really important. And since I couldn't get the first electric bug I wanted, I decided to go with the second one in Galvantula, aka Spooderman. I I've used Galvantula probably only one time, and that was with the UPAD League. where we had Iron Boulder with that one. That actually worked relatively good, especially when I got locked in, made transactions, and bumped up our way of going. But Galvantula, this is the second time we're ever using this Pokemon. Um, and it's not that bad of a mon. It can actually still hit pretty good offensively. It's a fast electric, which we really needed for this team as well. We did need another high base tier. Obviously, it's not the ideal one to pair with the Yancy, but we needed one regardless. So I felt really good with this pick, man. It was really good. And to get Sticky Web super late in the draft as well, which is really, really nice. I'm sure a lot of people were not eyeing it. There was probably a few teams that could have maybe went for this, but obviously not a lot of ones did. So I'm feeling really good with this. I'm really happy we picked up Galvantula when we did. Like I said, it was like those one blessing in disguise. Like it really sucked that we lost Likeable, especially since it's got Roost back and it's got good usage of Roost. But it didn't give me the mana win with it. Would I still kept Vikable after the draft? Absolutely. I love Vikable. It's my favorite. It's like probably my favorite Gen 7 Pokemon. And the shiny is probably the best shiny in the entire game. But Galvantula fits exactly what I wanted to do for the team purpose, and I felt this was a really good pickup for us here in that round. Now, after Galvantula, I had so many ideas. Funny enough, in this round, I think I was to commit to going for Greninja, but on the round where it came down to me, in round 7 here, I got sniped of that. So there went a completely different idea. So after that, I was thinking to myself, okay, I need to get a dragon. I need to get a water type. More importantly, I need to get something for fighting types. Fighting types are wrecking my team at this point. Like a Tem is good enough as it is, and Galvantula, let's be honest, he's only got like one switch in, and Roserade also has like one switch in. There's not really much else I did. So I needed something for fighting types, and I needed a water type. So I was really looking at the dragons because I wanted to get a good dragon. I was really debating on Hydreigon because I haven't used Hydreigon really all that much in the years I've used this Pokemon. Um, and I actually was even heavily, but I think with the way I wanted it to, the points were not added up to how I wanted a good team afterwards. So I took the risk and didn't go with that. I was heavily debating this next Pokemon and Dragonite. Dragonite obviously is a Pokemon you guys have never seen me use, but I'm actually currently using it in a Wi-Fi league. It's gotten 11 kills in seven games, which has been really great. One of those 7 games, it got a 6-0 sweep, so really good there. And I wanted to show you what I've learned from Dragonite and bring it to you guys and see how I have actually kind of become a Dragonite believer now. But I think for what I needed for this team and for what I wanted to do with this team, this pick made much more sense to me. And honest to God, I'm actually super excited. This is probably one of the most excited mons I'm actually even tried to use on this team. And that mon is Gyarados, and I forgot to make him shiny. I'm sorry. And I guess never named him too. I forgot I didn't name these guys yet. All right. Soon. Actually, no. I think that's right. But we've got Gyarados, man. I'm actually really super excited to use Gyarados. I have not tried base form Gyarados. I have tried Mega Gyarados, but we didn't finish the league with it, so it didn't really count. We tried Terra Gyarados. You guys have seen it was one of the first Gen 9 leagues we uploaded to this channel. But it honestly flopped because maybe I just didn't know how to draft a Pokemon right, or I didn't set up right with it, or this or that. I honestly just was really underwhelmed by it, and I didn't really like it, to be honest with you. Need to give it another try, obviously. But I have never once in my life tried base form Gyarados. And I don't really know why. I guess maybe base form Gyarados never really interested me a lot. And but I felt like for the team that we have, this fit a lot of the weaknesses we needed to patch. Gave us a ground immunity. It gave us a fighting resist, which we desperately needed for this team. It's going to be one of the 2 fighting resists on our team. But there's a lot of other good things. Like there's good things like this thing can taunt, this thing can thunder wave, this thing can even thunderbolt, man. I'm never gonna run that. Never mind. But anyways, but what's really great about Gyarados in this, did it lose Power Whip in Gen 7? Oh, I only got it in Gen 8. That sucks. But anyways, like this is a great Pokemon, man. This thing has a broad and great coverage options. It's a decently bulky water, which is really good for us. Gives us Intimidate Cycle, which is good. And it was a week where I think Gyarados can just run Rough Shot. Why not run Moxie? Just let's click buttons. Let's just claim KOs. Now, like I did state at the beginning of the video, Gyarados cannot Z captain, and it was really early in the morning for me when I made this pick, or really later in the day when I made this pick, so I was really tired and didn't read the rules again. So I originally was going to make the Z captain because I was actually really shocked that in round 7 this was a Z captain still sitting on the board. but I didn't see it, and I checked. But I still just stuck with keeping Gyarados because I think regardless, Gyarados fits this team for exactly what I needed it to. It gave me the checks that I needed, it gave me the defensive viability I needed, but it's still a good offensive Pokemon as well. So I am really excited to try base Gyarados. It's probably the most excited Pokemon I want to actually be able to try on my team because it's a completely brand new Pokemon. I have never used Gyarados ever in my entire like draft league career. That wasn't just base form. So I'm really, really, really excited to try this Pokemon and see how it does. Now it came down to dragons. There was three dragons I did kind of have my eyes on. If I went with something like Komodo, it would have really knocked my budget down because you guys have to remember with 10 and 9, there was Gigalith and there was Hippowdon. So I had to always keep in the back of my mind those minus 10 or minus 9 points that I was going to make to get them on. So if I went with Komo, I would have just barely enough points to get either Hippo or Gigalith, and then something like a 1 or 2 pointer maybe at most. And then that would have been my draft, and I would not have that much of versatility, and I would have not had a lot of checks that I needed to have, and I would have just had Pokemon that I probably was forcing myself to have on the team and not really do well with. So I decided to pivot away from it. And I decided there was two dragons left on the board. There was Druddigon and Gudra. Both were defensive dragons, but can also still hit relatively hard and have good utility options for a team. And as when I went back and forth on this as much as I can, I ended up settling on a Pokemon that I think was so much more better fit for this team and what it needed to be. And I'm going to tell you guys, and I'm going to be completely honest, it has been 10 years since I have used this Pokemon. In one of the first few drafts I've ever did that was start to finish draft, it was a 24-man league that Jed Swarley, I don't know how to say your last name, I'm sorry. But he hosted a league with 24 coaches like the NPA did back in the day. And a majority of them were people that were from like Spain, Mexico. So a long draft, and a lot of people that were completely new to draft. I was one of the people that was still relatively new, but I kind of had the knowledge of how it was. We made it all the way to the semifinals of that. Out of 24 coaches, we finished in the top four. And this was a Pokemon that did exceptionally well when the weeks came towards it, and it was one of our best Pokemon at the end of the season. And I have never used this Pokemon ever since that one time. So it's been 10 years later, and I'm finally going to try this Pokemon again. We grabbed Gudra, which we're going to name Salamandra. Salamandra. And there was two reasons why Gudra stood out to me over Druddigon. One was Sap Sipper, getting another grass immunity for this team, which is really, really good to help with some weaknesses that stuff like Deancey has and stuff like that going forward. So I felt like that was really good. But also, what's really important is Gooey. Gooey, I felt, was an underrated ability choice here for us to have because lowering speed actually can matter. Because if we lower speed, we basically make so that monster choice scarf on, it's at base speed. I can now outspeed with something like my Gyarados, my Galvantula, my Deancey, and now they're slow. They're forced to swap out, and I can go for something like Rock Polish, or I can go for something like Dragon Dance, and now I'm faster than those Pokemon because they can't outspeed me and now I can just win. Gudra, I felt was the perfect fit. It's the perfect Spadef wall for my team, which is really, really good. And he's just an overall great Pokemon. He's super fat. I can literally run an Assault Vest and run like max defense in bold, and I could still take every single special hit you would want. This is such a good Pokemon for us. I am so unbelievably excited to try this Pokemon after 10 long years. And I'm really hoping that we can just cook with this mon, dude. I'm really hoping we can make Guja proud here, and I hope Guja does me proud. Now, I had 6 points outside of the like. I had 6 points like I left was meant to get my last two couple of Pokemon before we grabbed our Sand Setter. And there were some main roles we needed. We needed ghost checks to our team, which ghost was really looking problem. Obviously, there was only one, like Blacephalon for when I was in Chandelure were like the only ghost types that were pretty much drafted and were the only scariest ghost types I had. So at least having something for both, if not at least one of them, was more important. I also need some more special offense because my team's looking a little bit more physical offensive than it is. Especially, there's a couple of things that can be special, physical. Here's a kind of mix. But I also wanted to go with a Pokemon that we can actually bring on an almost consistent basis. And plus, when you factor in that I have sticky webs right now, I could run something like maybe like Choice Band or Choice Specs. And with Choice Specs, this next Pokemon is an absolute new. We got my boy Get Loud himself, Xploud here. Now, Xploud may look weak to you, but when I pair you with a stab base 140 power move, and I paired it with Choice Spec, which raising my special attack by one, and I have Sticky Web, so I can go Modest. That is base 140 with a plus one, plus another one on top of stab and with the point 0.5 boost of Modest, this thing is unbelievably unguarded. Soundproof will have its niche abilities. Obviously, we can wall some Pokemon there to try to use some like sound-based moves. But what really is a selling point for this X-Cloud is Scrappy. Literally, nothing switches into this Pokemon. Only Steel types can. And if Steel types get whittled down at some point, and they get into a range where they can be two-shotted. In fact, there are some Steel types, like Excadrill, for example, that if they're not rocking AV or any special defense investment, they can roughly get two-shotted by a Choice Specs X-Block. This Pokemon hits insanely hard, and I am so excited to use this Pokemon, man. I have used X-Block actually a few times in the past before, and it's never been the most successful Pokemon for me, but it's been a Pokemon I love having fun with, and it's just a good Pokemon that can surprisingly make a lot more appearances than you think it does. So I'm really, 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 really excited to have this Pokemon on my team. Also, I did not know there was two Z captains you have to have maximum of 15 points that are at least 10 points below. They did not count towards your total budget, which is really good. I did make Goodra one of my Terra Caps. I think Goodra can actually take advantage of some things like Z-Ray Dance, to have some speed offensive set if we wanted to go more of an offensive route with it. Also, I think there could be a good offensive move we can use with Goodra that can kind of pick up a surprise KO on a Pokemon, which I think is really great. Which is good. And then we grabbed my second Z Captain, and it was our last pick before we picked up our Sand Setter, which depleted the rest of our points. We actually filled out 11 Mons for this draft, which was not my intention. And all really, it kind of just mapped out how I really wanted the points to balance out and how I felt like this was great. And with this next pick, I actually think was a great value out of 2 points. 2 points, which I think was an absolute massive steal for this Pokemon. Because not only does this mon take advantage of having a Trick Room option with Cofagrigus if I don't run Sticky Webs, this is also a Pokemon that can take advantage of webs because it has actually has a decent speed tier. But what's even more great about this Pokemon, do you really want to run Sticky Webs versus me? Do you really want to defog in front of me when I have an ability called Contrary? Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you my best friend, it's Malamar! Of course, we gotta name him after being my friend. Of course, we have to. But in all seriousness, I've never drafted Malamar. Malamar is one of those weird Pokemon that obviously is not drafted really a lot because obviously having a quad being the spammable move known as U-turn. But Hookbound Bound gets drafted constantly, so let's try to figure that out. But what's really great about Malamar is that this is a Pokemon again, like I said, it deters away option. If you want to defog in front of Malamar, you are basically giving me a +1 in my evasion, which now means you are most likely going to miss your attacks. Also, that's not illegal in terms of that working. It's an ability effect, so it's a difference. But again, a Pokemon like this against superpower, it's really, really good. I think superpower is obviously the one main thing about this Pokemon that obviously takes advantage of it. It's not too much of a flashy other thing to have that happen to and stuff like that. But it's still, still having that opportunity to want to do a lot of things, is really, really, really good. It's just really, really good. Um, and it's just a great Pokemon. I don't know why I would rather tell you, I really put it there. I honestly felt like Malamar was a good small budget pick here, and obviously I can see myself probably running it at least a week or two. It's just a great Pokemon. I think it's a great Pokemon, man. Again, if you want to intimidate me, boom! I just got a +1 attack for free. Thanks, man. Like again, you have to be careful with having a contrary mon on a team because it just takes advantage of it. If you want to set up sticky webs, go ahead. I just got a free choice scarf for nothing right here. And I can just now be a bulky Pokemon that just hits hard for free damage. Like, it's just a super reliably good Pokemon. And I'm so excited to try Malamar. And with my last pick, I grabbed the best Sand Setter in the game. Everyone says T-Tar is better. T-Tar is a fraud as a Sand Setter. T-Tar as a Pokemon is amazing. T-Tar as a Pokemon is really, really freaking good. But in terms of Sand Setters, he's garbage. Big Mama, the Hippowdon is here. I settled for. I was actually gonna originally kind of actually start deteriorating to maybe Gigalith because I only used Gigalith one time in my draft league career as a sand setter, and I actually did like it. It was really good, but I gotta go with the best sand setter, man. I gotta go with Big Mama Hippo, baby. I love Hippowdon when mixed together because there is only one weakness that they share, and that weakness is water. Everyone states that Tyranitar is better with Drill. And in some worlds, yes, it is. Because obviously, both offensive Pokemon, both can do like setup sweeps of their own right and just win games and stuff like that. Typing wise, everything. This. But here's the thing Tyranitar has too many weaknesses to pair with Drill, which is really bad. Gigalith is not as bad paired with Drill. They share still a good amount of the weaknesses, which is water, ground, and fighting, which makes it right. But here's the thing with Hippo. It shares one weakness with Drill, and that is water. And last time I check to water, check to water. Offensively, check to waters, check to waters. I have enough resources with water to not care. And fighting. I've got this guy. I've got this guy. I've got this guy. I've got this guy. Fighting's still a little scarier, but regardless, I have the tools to take care of the weaknesses when it's too ground. And what's great is Drill's my offensive ground, and more importantly, it's my steel type for this team. This is a fat ground type that can just set up my stealth rocks, yawn things, toxic things, whirlwind things, and just be a defensive nuisance for a lot of teams. Now, obviously, if I'm facing a really scary water type, and if I feel like I need to bring sand into the matchup, I'm going to have to plan around the water type a little bit here and there. I won't lie to you. But with this core, this team as a whole, I think Hippowdon shines as the sand setter for this team. Because Hippowdon, don't get me wrong, it loves Rocky Helmet and leftovers every single time. Don't get me wrong. But Hippo can run Smooth Rock a bunch of more times than any other sand setter can. And it's more reliable. Because he also gets reliable recovery. The other two's recovery is rest. That's not good. This hippo is going to be super, super good, man. I'm so excited, man. But yeah, that's our team for the Bald Joey Draft League. I will say this much Joey is a part of the season. As if we will face him or not, that's for you guys to find out and for me to find out too. And if we don't face Joey, then it's honestly okay. We'll still get to face off against a lot of great people and a lot of new faces that I never played against. So I'm really excited. If you guys did enjoy this video, which I do apologize, it was a really long one, but I had to get down to the brass tacks about explaining everything, going over the team overall. Because, like I said, this team's pretty much a new squad for me. Only a few familiar faces on this team, being mostly just Drill and Hippo. Everything else is like pretty much fresh to me, which is really great. And it's also revisiting, which is really great. 10 years of draft league, man, and we're gonna get an opportunity to play again in this format that started it all for us. So I'm super excited. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think of our team down below. I actually really love it. It's probably one of my top five, or not, maybe top three best teams I've ever drafted, and that says a lot about my teams because I felt like I've drafted a good bunch of teams, and I won't lie, there were probably some teams I drafted that were pretty crap. But this to me, I feel like it fits everything for what we want for a team, and I'm so excited for it. I hope you guys are too. And until next time, guys, I'll see you guys for week 1 of the Ball Joey Draft League, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.